Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Tracey.
I'm Carol.
And we are my
Outlander
Purgatory.
.com.
Carol, how are you this morning? This morning. Yeah, I wish it was this morning because I would get to have the whole day again to do. Because I pretty much need to have 2 days in every day at this rate. Yeah. So how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing really well. We're racing around a little bit to try and accommodate Tracy's crazy schedule, and I'm glad that we're doing this now. I think it's a
Carol,
good idea.
where are you? Your backdrop is weird.
I'm in
Everything's weird, you guys. Carol's backdrop is weird.
Yes.
I'm not drinking alcohol.
Oh, you're not? Why not?
Because I have to perform in approximately 3 hours and 5 minutes. So.
And the problem is, all right, everyone. Well, I'm drinking the usual, so we don't really need to talk about that.
Now, where are you? You're not at home.
I'm in the Poconos, and for anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, in northeastern PA. I have a house here that I actually rent out. So if you check out PoconoMountainChalet.com, you'll see it.
You can rent the Purgatory winter home.
Yeah, you guys, I never even thought about giving it a little plug. It's kind of my job. So yes, this is kind of a boring. This is my down. Ooh, we got a little fire going back there.
Carol, we did a video from there once, a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Right after Christmas.
That was a very drunken video. So sorry about my light tonight, you guys, but I just kind of. I'm not here very often, so I don't really know how to light myself. So, yeah, anybody's interested, PoconoMountainChalet.com. It's a neat little house, lots of space. And if you're into skiing in the winter, then get your butts here. And if you're into swimming and lakes and all kinds of fun in the summer, get your butts here. All right, what's next?
There you go. All right, so yes, I'm drinking lemonade because I have to perform. My last show is this evening.
Tracy, what is your show?
My show is called Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean. It's quite a long title. The last performance is this evening.
Do you have a Jimmy Dean character?
No. The Jimmy Dean is never actually seen. And it's about James Dean, the late, great James Dean, but then also about the son of James Dean, who is named Jimmy Dean.
Okay.
But there you go.
James
so yes,
Dean.
And it's just been a crazy day because I'm having the cast party here. So I've been running around trying to get stuff ready for that. Watch the show again.
Watch Outlander. Get all my notes ready. So who's doing what?
Yeah. I actually did take notes for the most of it. It's going to be a little bit of a tag team today.
Is it me? Do we look uneven? I look very high, and you look.
No.
Are you in the middle and I'm up too high? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not looking at myself. I can't look at myself. All right, let's get into this because this is not going to be a 2-hour video because if it is, we're going to have to continue tomorrow because I have a hard stop here.
And nobody needs that because we had 2 hours last week.
And I don't know that this is going to be a long video.
It's not.
To me,
not enough to say.
Not to sum it up before I've started. I really liked this episode. I will tell you that. Right? Yes, I would say I loved this episode.
Loved it.
But it's this episode, and anytime we're on the water, it's so much about tone. I think of just kind of the tone is so different from when you're in Scotland or when you're in France or whatever, and it's much more just. You need to experience it. It's hard to talk about because not that much happens. It's called the Doldrums for a reason. Not that much happens.
Yeah, lots of good.
It's a lot of Claire. I mean, in the book, I will say this: the reunion is obviously my favorite chapters. I've said that before, chapter 24, 25, whatever. But the books are also divided into sections, and each section has a name.
Right.
So this particular section is called On the Water. And I would say this is my favorite section of any of the books at all because it is a time where Claire and Jamie kind of get to know each other again. There's a lot of good conversations, a lot of good other stuff.
A lot of good motion in the ocean.
Yes, motion in the ocean. And I'm fascinated by like 18th century, ship faring.
Oh my God. And you didn't watch Black Sails.
Well, I'm fascinated by 18th century ship faring, not 18th century whoring. So no, I did not watch Black Sails.
Did you watch one episode?
Or 18th century threesomes. So no.
Okay. I told you before, you got to get past the first few episodes of Black Sails, and then all that goes away for the most part. It pops up here and there. But trust me when I tell you, it is, Tracey, you guys, really, would I lie? Do you really think I would have made it through that? The first episode or two, I was like, I'm not going to sit here and watch this drivel. But then I stuck with it, and it turns into the greatest show. And somewhere along the line, they realized we don't need all that.
Right. All right. Someday I'll give it another try.
And you're going to watch it and go, I can't believe I wasn't watching this.
Yeah. I mean, if they were using like that same ship, because that ship is great.
Yeah. It's a Black Sails ship.
And the same ocean or the same, water or whatever. All right. So let's jump into it. This episode is 309, as we said. It's called The Doldrums, as we said. The writer is Shannon Goss, and the director is David Moore. And I believe that we have newbies on both ends here. Do we not?
Yes.
At first, I thought it was David Morse, who is from St. Elsewhere, if you guys remember that.
Yes.
And I think he is kind of a director now. So I was all excited. But then it was like, no, it's just David Moore. As in Ron Moore. Oh, my God. Related? Pseudonym?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Wow, we'll have to find that out. So the starting begins, and as we have seen from when we were in France, now we're in a new place, so we have a new starting. What did you think of the new starting?
I loved it, and I loved the little kick. It
was kind of like Survivor Outlander.
You said that last week about the Immunity Idol.
Job spoken.
I just loved it. It had they were traipsing through the tundra and
very mysterious.
Yes.
It really was. It was very Survivor-esque, that music.
It reminds me of never mind. There's a Duran Duran video from 5 million years ago called Night Boat. Check it out. It's pretty cool, and it reminded me of that.
So I did like it a lot. I did like that starting a lot, and it just made me happy because I like this whole part of the book. So our Easter egg was like hoisting the jib on the Artemis, and that made me happy too because I love the Artemis.
All I had to see was Artemis, and I was like, DG.
Artemis is a big Diana Gabaldon thing, to the point where, I think her YouTube channel is called Voyage of the Artemis.
It was.
It was at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe it's called something different now, but like Artemis was a big thing for DJ.
Maybe ask that Huga who runs it. That Huga. Ask that Huga.
That is said with love, total love, by the way, you guys,
because we love her.
Nikki runs Beyonce's YouTube channel. And
Nikki the Huga.
I love her so much, but she's
God bless Lafayette too.
Anyway. So the first thing I thought when you see the ship, it's huge. Like, I didn't imagine it being that big. I mean, that's like a Royal Caribbean cruise liner.
Yeah.
It was way big. So Claire and Jamie are talking to some guy who I'm like spent probably 5 minutes going like, oh yeah, he must just be like, the ship like setter upper, until I realized, oh no, it's Jared.
It's Jared. But wait, I have to go back really quick about the new starting. How did you like the lip thing? Like Jamie's got Claire's lip and doing this. All right, I don't want to do it. But do you know what I'm talking about? Did you see it?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I felt it was like almost as good as a hip hinge. The leg hinge. What do you call it?
Leg hitch.
The leg hitch.
That's that term, I thought.
Hip hinge. Osteo issues and the leg hitch. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't rewatch the starting when I did my rewatch because I was like, But
right.
no, I like the whole starting. I thought it was really great.
Yeah. So Jared, and so Jared's in Scotland. Does he go back and forth from France to
No,
Scotland?
they're in France.
That's
They set sail from France.
I said to Tom, I'm like, are we in France? That's Jared. Like, what's happening here?
No. I think they're in France. I think they set sail from France.
Or Jared goes back and forth from Scotland to France.
Right. No,
because nobody was French. I didn't hear anybody speaking French.
That's true, actually, and none of the crew was French. I don't know. I thought they were in France.
On business. He probably goes back and forth and is popping in here and there.
I guess. See, I thought, yes, I thought that, at least in the book, I thought they set sail out of Edinburgh, but maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know, but I just think it's funny that it's the 18th century. So it's like, my nephew is kidnapped. Let's wait 4 or 6 more weeks before we can get on a boat and talk to Jared and set up a whole meeting and get out there. And no one, if the wind is good, worried. That's when you're reading the book, when you're watching the show, it's the same. Like, nobody's really like flipping out in their head about poor Ian. Everyone's like, we'll find him. He's in Jamaica, whatever.
No. Jamie's all like, yeah, we'll pick up some wind and we'll catch up to the brouhaha or whatever it's called. I don't think so, Jamie. They got like a 6-week head start.
Yeah. We'll make some brouhaha of our end, too.
Okay. So, anyway, can we just talk about how when Claire and Jamie are talking to Jared, that Jamie's got a tricorne, which already has my knees weak, but then he's got that wrap that's like kind of wrapped around like that. And I'm just like, if you're pop.
Tracey's into a wrap. Okay.
I'm sorry. He just looked so like
debonair
suave and like,
I'll tell you who he looks like.
Scottish, like classy guy.
You know what he looks like? He looks like Sam Hewen doing a modeling spread. That's what he looks like.
It is very what the hell is that that
Scottish GQ?
No, who's the clothing company that he models for? This is how connected we are, you guys.
We're not like.
Everybody who's watching this video right now is like, it's like everybody's watching this video is like, it's blah blah blah, it's blah blah blah. We're like,
they should love us because the actors, because we're so like whatever. I don't know.
I'll think of it.
We're not like, I'm going to yell at everyone who doesn't ship them. Okay.
I think there's a store of it in New York, but I can't remember what it is. Okay.
And Jared has told them that it's okay because they're going to want to sell Ian. They're not going to want to kill Ian because he can fetch them a serious profit. So they're going to keep him alive and happy and well until they get to Jamaica and sell his ass. Yeah, so they're like, oh, that's great. Okay, I feel a lot better now. Mm-hmm. But I do have to say that I love Jared. Love Jared. I feel like he's almost like an underused character because I feel like there's so much. He's got an interesting life, and he's Scottish, but he lives in France now, and he's made some money. And I don't know. I'd kind of like to hear a little. Dear Diana Gabaldon, could you also, when you're writing about Raymond and Ellen and all of these people, could you maybe throw in a little something on Jared?
Jared. I think Jared shows up in other stories from time to time.
Probably, but I just love him.
I think I'm trying to remember if he's in that one with Joan and the hell like Michael, like one of the Murray kids.
Yeah.
They had their own story.
Yeah.
Or novella or whatever. So anyway, okay. So then Jamie and Claire have this conversation that I was a little like. So, Claire, I forget which one asked them, like, do you think we'll be happy or something along those? And then Jamie's all like, well, if you really want to go back to the Stones, I'll take it.
I have that written down.
Did he really? I don't know. Jamie's like, this was Jamie who last week was like, I'll do anything to keep you.
Yeah. I think he said it in the book.
But the worst part was that Claire didn't say no. Jamie's like, yeah, I'll take you back to the Stones if you really want to. And Claire's like, let's not talk about it now.
No. Okay. You have to.
No, go ahead.
You have to see that as the test that it was. Jamie's like, look, you want to go back to the Stones. I'll take you myself. And Claire's like, because now he wants to see if Claire's going to do exactly what she does. She panics a little and is like, I don't know crackers stones in her own head. But on the outside, she's like, it's the most important thing is finding young Jamie. Yeah, that's what we have to do. And she's like buying herself more time. And Jamie's like this. I don't know if you noticed, I've watched it 3 times. Rewound just for this. He's like this. Okay. And then he does the lopsided smile and goes like this. He's like, yeah, she's not going anywhere.
See, now I saw that as she didn't say no, I don't want to go back to Stones, duh. More just like as a plot device or as a narrative thing, because like we're gonna get back to that. Like we need to go back to that at some point later in the episode. So that's why she's not shutting that down right now. Even though,
and I think that he just doesn't want her to feel like trapped on the ship, and she's really miserable. She doesn't want to be here. And he's like, look, giving her an out. Like, look, I'll take you myself. If you really want to go back, you can go back. And he knows damn well she's not going anywhere. Come on.
I don't think he does.
Oh, he does. I'm telling you, watch it again and watch the one side go. She turns around and he goes, like, yeah, you're not going anywhere.
I mean, I think that they've set it up though, because like from the books, you know, pretty much at the time where she gives him the penicillin, the whole where he recovers from the gunshot wound, they kind of work everything out and everything's groovy by the time they get to this point.
Right.
But I think in the show they've kept it a little bit like, well, we're still not quite sure we're going to be okay. Are we sure we're still like okay for each other? Like, you know, like I think there's still supposed to be a little bit of questioning. And that was another like log on the fire of the questioning.
Yes. I also like how Jamie starts talking about God and punishing him, and you know, or whatever he says, and Claire's like, STFU. Like Claire shuts that right down. Claire's like, you know, I'm not even going to listen to this nonsense because sometimes Jamie slips into the simple folk talk. Claire's like, oh God, now we're talking about God again.
None of that.
Yeah.
I don't have none of that.
Because this episode is full of superstition. Some felt, some feigned. And I'm just sitting here watching this like I would be exactly like Claire. Like, oh my God. I'm not a big fan of superstition. I do my knock on wood every once in a while, but yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry.
Angus and Rupert to Electric Boogaloo are coming along for the ride.
Okay, that's Jonah, right?
Jonah and the other guy. I don't know his name.
Did you notice what Jonah said? They were like, they were talking about like being on a ship, and Jonah's like, I've been on a ship twice. Once when I was sent off to be an indentured servant, and once when I came back. And I'm sitting here like, you came back you went to be an indentured servant with Murtaugh. I was like, oh my God. He's talking about when they shipped them off to the Americas, and then they shipped him back when he was finished. So I'm like, where is the M-Man?
I thought they had to be indentured for 14 years though, and it has been 14 years.
Well, I think that was cut right on out because he said once when I was shipped off to be an indentured servant, and once when I came back. So, all right. So moving on. Who's doing this? You or me?
Well, I'll do for a while until I stop taking notes, and then you can take over.
Oh, you stopped taking notes the last 5 minutes. I got to the scene you told me about, and I'm like, oh, it's over.
So Claire's like, so what's up with Jenny and Ian? They don't know. And Jamie's like, no, they haven't been told, which is good. I sent them a letter. And I just wrote down, that must have been some letter.
Oh,
hey, Jenny, what's up? So yeah, like France is awesome. We're having a really great time here. Little piece of news. You know, young Ian, well,
while doing my dirty work,
he's getting a little taste of sea life. We thought that'd be good for him.
Yeah. Can you imagine Jamie's version? Ian now has a job and decided to go on ahead on a different ship, but I'm sure they've got him working real hard.
Oh my God.
I'll let you know when we meet up.
He's right ahead of us, but we'll be there like right behind him.
Yeah.
No worries, Jen. All good. All good, bro. Okay. So, okay. And then they're off, and I have to say, I loved, that Jamie's like looking over the side. Claire thinks he's about to heave over the side. He's like, no, I haven't gotten that point yet. I'm just looking at Scotland go away, and I won't be back unless I have young Ian with me.
I know. I know, because he's like, these shores, it's more upsetting to me to be leaving the shores of Scotland, and I'll no be back.
And I mean, again, it's like what you're saying before. In the 18th century, it's not like you're, hopping on a plane to Scotland and coming back in a couple days. You really don't know.
Right.
Like, I mean, he doesn't know whether he's even going to make it to Jamaica. They might just there might be a storm, and they might, totally be shipwrecked.
Off with his head.
They may blow off course. And then when they get there, who knows what they're going to find young Ian?
They may blow off his head.
They may blow off his head. You just don't know.
You just don't know.
And so it was just so poignant, and yeah. I mean, I think any other time Jamie has sort of seen Scotland in the rearview mirror, he's known he's coming back. And I think this time is the first time maybe where he's like, I may never see this again.
Oh, it's horrible. It's sad.
Very
Did you get to the part where he and Claire were talking about all the superstitions, and he's like explaining?
Yeah, that's next. Because everyone's like getting ready, hoisting the jibs and more or whatever. And everybody's touching the horseshoe. They're all like, good morning, sir. Horseshoe. How you doing, sir? Horseshoe. And Claire's like, why aren't they talking to me? Because I'm Claire and I'm important, and people should realize that. And Jamie's like, yeah,
everybody loves me.
You're bad luck, and touch the horseshoe because they'll kill you if you don't.
But it's okay because I'm bad luck too. See this? Yeah. I just heard two guys talking about me in the hall.
So we're already starting out on the wrong foot because we have a woman on board and we have a red-haired guy on board. But we've all touched the horseshoe, so, hopefully that's up for it.
Yeah.
So next we see Fergus, and behind him.
So this is what I was asking you about. When he says to Claire's like, what is the deal? Like, he starts telling her, and she's like, is this just... He says, this isn't just a Scottish thing. Like, this is this and this. And then he says something about, you don't want to be caught with a banana on a French reggae or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like cracking up because the actors are in hysterics. It took them 10 times at least to get this right. Because she's cracking up when he says it. And I just can't. This is the stuff I love about these two.
I know.
This was the first time, my God, practically maybe in the season, that the two of them were just laughing about something cute together. There was no problem, no drama, no I love you, no I hate you, just two people connecting and being funny while they were doing it. And I thought that was awesome.
That's why I like this part of the book, and why I know I'm going to like the part of the show, because they're so relaxed around each other.
Yeah.
They're just so... They're so... They can strip off all of the. I mean, they're out in the middle of the ocean, so it's not like they're really going to have an issue with Blackjack Randall or whatever.
Right.
They can just be. They can just.
But But this was, to me, was the humor in it that was so funny. They weren't like lying in bed, which is also great and has its place. But this was just the two of them cracking up together.
Right. So we see Fergus, and behind him is Marsali.
I
gotta tell you once again, the casting people on this show just home run after home run after home run.
Yes.
I mean, she's great.
She's exactly how I pictured her.
She's the picture of Nell Hudson. Like, they look exactly alike. It's crazy. I love her. I mean, she's clearly like Jamie. This ain't no wee Joan here. This ain't no wee Joni who's all daddy.
No,
no. Why are you leaving me?
No.
Marsali is crafty, and she ain't gonna take Jamie's shit at all.
No, and they've really talk about casting. You're right, because the show has really got her down, and the fact that I had written this down too. I've always loved the character because. And it's no different in the show. She's got her mother's headstrong attitude without the evil. Hold the evil. I'll take an order of headstrong attitude without the evil. Hold the evil for me, please.
Right.
And I said she's just this cool, tough chick. And, she's got this. She has got this, so don't even. But she's also, there's a sweetness to her, underneath all that.
Yeah. But, and I love, later on when she's like, when Fergus finally tells her about all the whores, and she just looks at Jamie and she's like, I'm no naive. Like, I know he's been with other lassies, duh.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta love her. You gotta love her.
Yeah.
She is. She's leery without the, bitchiness.
Evil.
Yeah, without the evil. She's probably, because, Marcy's probably seen her bitchy days here and there.
Yes.
So anyway.
Haven't we all, really?
Didn't Marsali and Fergus get hand-fasted just this morning? Does somebody else in another, not necessarily an Outlander book, but is hand fasting in another book series or not in another? Is hand fasting in another book series other than Outlander?
My nephew and niece, his wife, when they got married, the guys were all in kilts. They did a hand fasting ceremony. It was really cool. But yes, well, let's just move from that. We'll discuss that at another time.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't get there. Are you moving on to Jamie being what?
Well, no, the only other thing left is, so Jamie's like, yeah, no, this ain't going to happen. You're getting thrown off the ship when we're in port and wherever they're going.
Yeah.
And,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And Fergus isn't touching you. We have 2 cabins. Me and Fergus are in one, and Marsali and Claire are in the other. And both Marsali and Claire are like, huh?
Yeah, Marsali's like, and Claire's like,
like, well, okay, I get the whole virtue thing, and I get the whole, unspoiled, maidenhood thing, but I kind of want the sweet JAMMF love. So
I didn't travel my ass 200 years to sleep with Marsali. I do not think so. Claire's like, no, not gonna happen.
Yeah, chastity is important to a degree, but come on, if it's keeping me from the sweet JAMMF love, not happening. No. But anyway,
that sounds like a band.
Anyway,
JAMMF love. It's like G Love and Special Sauce.
That's going to be happening anyway because Jamie's starting to feel the effects of the rocking and rolling,
the wee waves.
Yeah,
this is what I wanted to mention. There was something I didn't like.
What?
When Claire's all mad and she's like, I didn't travel, blah, blah, blah. Come back here to room with Marsali. And she goes in the door and Jamie goes, no, I am going to be sick. And I was like, I don't like that, Jamie. I don't like this rude, under your breath. Yeah, Jamie doesn't make rude under his breath modern day man commentary about Claire when she walks away under his breath. I didn't like that. I was like, no.
Yeah, I think whatever. It was probably the best solution, but the whole sequence though of Jamie and Marsali, Marsali's like, well, I'm doing it, and if you tell me not to, I'm just gonna tell everyone that Fergus and I did it anyway, and so there.
Ooh,
and he's just saying stuff under his breath you're like, Laoghaire's gonna kill me.
Oh
my god, I'm so dead.
And he means it. She'll kill me. And he doesn't mean it oh my God, she's going to kill me. He's like, she'll kill me. Sister girl's already shot me once. What will it be next?
Oh my God, that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Okay.
So Claire's giving Jamie the ginger tea and drink this down. He's like, okay, whatever.
He kept the clothes.
Oh, he kept the clothes.
And didn't you?
But then he's doling them out to okay, who wants a dress? Okay, who wants a cloak? Marsali, here you go.
I know. Claire goes,
I think I got a nice woolen shawl here somewhere.
Claire goes, I thought I recognized that. And I'm thinking, recognized it? You wore it for 3 years. Are you kidding me? I still have crap in my closet from 20 years ago that I still wear.
what I was just I guess I still am not clear as to where Fergus. I thought maybe Fergus lived in Edinburgh full time. So it was kind of like, and I mean, this is kind of the question in the book too. Like, when did he have all this time to like be over in Lollybrook and dating Marsali on the side?
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's kind of left like kind of weird in the book too. So whatever, because I would put down like, did Jenny and Ian think that did Jenny and Ian know that Fergus was going with them, to France, so that Jamie and Ian could meet up with Jared to sell the jewels, as the plan was. So Claire is paging Dr.
Randall. Dr. Randall.
No, she's not Dr. Randall. She's Dr. Fraser now.
She was Dr. Randall when she was in a position to be paged. She was Dr. Randall.
Dr. Fraser to the OR.
Paging Randall and Abernathy.
So she's paged off to go help some guy who like the boom or the gist or the math or the something smacked into him.
And now all of a sudden, don't they like the bad luck chick? All of a sudden, they didn't like her a little while ago, but now it's like, I think we could use her. Oh, Claire.
Well, no, she was going to be the surgeon all along. I don't think they're liking her yet.
I'm just talking about the superstition about a woman being on the ship.
They're still thinking that might be the cause of this whole masked in the noggin kind of thing. It might, the fact that like maybe someone just like dropped it like doesn't really enter their head. But it had to be the women, or somebody didn't touch that horseshoe.
Dang it. I can't believe if they're that psycho about touching the horseshoe that somebody didn't touch the horseshoe.
I know. So I don't know. Okay. So then Jamie and Fergus have a little chat, a little man-to-man chat.
I love this.
I know. And Jamie's all like, what really, Fergus? And Fergus is all like, well, how could I help it? It's just like you and Milady. As you told me before, you knew from the beginning. And Jamie's like, but
we were forced.
We had to marry each other. And Fergus is like, cut the crap, my lord.
he said, and if that is true, then I was forced to breathe. I am forced to breathe. My heart is forced to breathe.
You're so French first. Ooh la la.
Bring it. Ooh la la. I'm going to go get out my Sassoon jeans.
So Jamie's all like, well, have you told her everything? And he's like, of course. I lived in the brothel, and said I was the pickpocket, And Jamie's like, no, about your hoary past.
Does she know that you're a pickpocket?
And Fergus is like, Femme la bouche, my lord.
I may have left a little something.
So, okay. Now we move on to the captain's dining room. Do you know the captain's name, or should we just call him Captain Stubing?
Captain Stubing. I just call him the captain.
Okay, Captain Stubing. I have to say, and again, I mean, I was very surprised at the size of the ship, but I was also surprised at like the fancy, quarters that the captain has, and his fancy dining room.
Not at all.
And it's fancy. Really?
I'm a black sails watcher. I was just saying the same men who would set up lavish tents and stuff when they're in battle are also going to, have nice quarters, and the fine china when they're at sea.
I just didn't, like in the book, I didn't imagine, because I think in the book, Claire actually had to work with the chef a lot, and she got to be friends with the chef a little bit.
Yeah. I don't think we've gotten to that yet.
No, I think we did. No, I
think he might be the chef from the other. We've all seen it. It's not like I'm spoiling from this episode. I think he might be the chef from the other boat.
Maybe. All right.
Is that a spoiler though? Because we did.
No.
All right.
But I know I was kind of surprised. So anyway, the captain kind of like talks to Claire about all the superstitions, and Claire's like,
and that she's wearing way too much clothes on top.
I did think that was, because I didn't know that yes. Like that's why the Little Mermaidy ladies are always at the bow of the ship.
Yes. You know, I wish I was home for this because Tom has, from his grandfather, Lord of Mercy on him, a bottle opener, you guys, that's bronze. And it's a mermaid, bare-breasted mermaid like this. And it's like from his, sailing days or whatever. So, yes, Tom said that. He was like, yeah, that's like a thing.
I did not know that.
That's just why so many times they will have a bare-breasted, well, because they showed her in the book too, woman on the, you guys, my sailing terminology is awful. Tom always says to me like something about the bow, and I'm like, which one's the bow? When we're on the boat, and he'll be like, grab the whatever, and I'm like, but when you would see like the woman on the front of the boat, like way up, like this. I'm trying to do it. She wasn't wearing a cowl neck, you guys. Put it that way.
No, she was not. And that's good luck.
Yes.
It keeps the scary monsters away.
Yes. Luckily, I'm on land, so this is staying on.
Yes, as is best. Okay, so we're back to Jamie. He is in bad shape. He is puking in a little bucket. Maybe if he would stop drinking all of the tea and, keep his stomach empty, he wouldn't be throwing up anymore.
Right, but I'm sorry, I got to stop you for a minute. What did you think about Claire and her reaction to the captain? Because the captain's talking about all of this stuff, and Claire is sort of like, yes, but blah, 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 blah. And she knows he doesn't really believe it because he kind of goes there and says, look, it doesn't matter what I believe. It's what the crew believes. And the crew believes it, so they have to believe that the captain is with them. But I felt Claire was being a little bit like, I was like, Claire, it's the 18th century. Just okay him to death.
Just go with it, Claire.
Just go with it. But Claire was very like, well, I don't. And I was like, look, I'm with you, Claire, 1,000%. A, I'm not into superstition. B, I look at all this male whatever nonsense and go, oh, please. But at the end of the day, girl, when in Rome, when in 18th century, you just shut your mouth and move on.
When have you ever known Claire to shut her mouth and move on? Never.
Well, this episode I felt was very that was very prevalent. And you're right. And usually I'm fine with that. But this, I was like, girl, they already have a problem with you and are thinking that you're bad luck. Pipe down when it comes to this kind of stuff. Tell him how you feel. Just say she could say listen, I think it's all a bit of hogwash, and then move on without being a little bit.
This is the Claire. Think back to when she killed her rapist or her prospective rapist was like, you go get me hot water. You go get me this. You go get me some tool that I can drill into his head. I'm going to the apothecary.
Yeah,
goodbye.
I guess that
she wasn't able to ride it out there either.
Well, that was ridiculous, but it wasn't an 18th century thing. She would do that in modern day.
Yes, it is. It was two.
Okay, if somebody tried to rape her in modern day and then fell and hit his head on something, she wouldn't try and help him then? She would. I'm saying she needs to, when it comes to this silly 18th century superstition, kind of just ease up. You can let him know that you think it's silly, but then I don't know. I just felt like she was a little bit too hard on that.
I mean, of course she should, but
aren't you sort of still kind of?
She doesn't.
He's trying to keep up a pretense of yeah, I'm with you guys. She's still trying to keep up a pretense of yeah, I'm from the 18th century. So I think that's my problem. I'm always afraid she's going to get caught. I always look at it like, what's the next witch trial going to be? Because she's not conforming enough. So while I appreciate her voicing her opinions on their ridiculousness, I think she needs to pull back sometimes because I worry that they're going to look at her like, what the hell? Like any other 18th century woman. Now, Marsali, of course, you can put Marsali in there, but Marsali's not out there telling the captain that she has a problem with touching the horseshoe. Let's move on.
Right. Okay. So Jamie is in bad shape.
Oh, and did we need to see it?
He's,
did we need
Claire's
to
putting the tea
it?
Down. He's throwing it up.
I did not need to see the greenness.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised they did it. And I didn't care. I mean, you need to know how bad it is. You need to know that he's this was just really
this was a very this is a very pukey episode. We'll just put it that way. Okay, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot. Well, we'll get to that.
How did you like?
So Mr. Willoughby comes in. What?
We stabbers.
Well, we're not at that part yet. We're not at that part yet.
Well,
now you're frozen.
We're at the part where he talks about.
No, we're not at that part. No, we're at the part.
Mr. Willoughby comes in when
No,
Jamie's
we're
puking.
at the part where he's like, look, you need to do something or else you're going to lose your balls, bro. Maybe, do you want me to help you? And Jamie's like, and then they go to the next scene. You don't see them then. Yeah, he's like, Jamie's like, oh, I just have to give this tea a chance to work because Claire said so. And Mr. Willoughby's like, yeah, no, not going to happen. No. So, all right. So then we move on to Marsali and Claire getting ready for bed. Did you have anything in particular in your notes about this scene at the beginning, like the first time you see Claire in the scene?
I'm going to laugh, though, whenever you tell me.
You didn't have anything about the whole thing that her hair has grown 6 inches in 2 days.
Oh, yes. And I did notice that. But then I figured a lot of time has gone by. But yeah, it's pretty.
It's got to be like 2 years.
It's like my length. And yesterday it was here and out to here.
I mean, think about when they were at Lollipop. Think about when she had like the bad Will and Grace, the Grace from college hair like that.
Yes.
It is now down to here.
Yeah.
It is down to here.
Well, we've seen Jamie's hair do that from time to time too. So
no, this was like, for all we praise the casting people, script supervisor.
Well, the bottom line is that the actress, maybe she has to film something else and they couldn't do anything about it. And they film out of sequence. So
I know they film out of sequence. But Carol, it was like, I was just like, what the hell? You must have superpower hair, Claire, because it just grew. It literally was 6 inches longer. It was crazy, but okay. So she and Marsali are a little bit like, I'm the whore, so I get the bigger bed. Like, that was pretty funny.
She should have let Marsali go. She should have let Marsali run with her ass kissing. I would have.
I know. I like the little bunks with the little doors. Those were kind of cool.
Yeah.
I want to have a little bunk with a little door like that, where I can just be like.
Yep. So the Hua took the bigger bed. I think we're going to need a bigger boat. I think we're going to need a bigger bed.
So I'm loving all this thing. We're just seeing like all their at sea and their, the sprays and their faces and everybody's running around deck. And I love it. I love it. So it's the next morning. Jamie is eating his porridge and
gotta have the porridge.
Claire's like, oh, you're all better. Awesome. So Jamie, now that he's in a better mood, is still not receptive to the Fergus Marsali marriage.
No.
They come in. That's where, Marsali's like, yeah, Fergus told me everything. I'm not a dumbass. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. He's really hot. He's really hot. He's really charming. And he's been running around Edinburgh for months.
French.
Yeah. And he's French.
I mean, like, come on. Really? Yeah. Really, Ja?
Yeah.
Really?
Oui.
Yeah. And Jamie's like, okay, no, you still can't. Like, and Claire tries to get Jamie to be like, okay, well, maybe if you like let them play act a little bit at this, they'll like get really tired of it and whatever. It'll fizzle out.
How old is Marsali?
It's like 16.
Because I would like to see a little bit more
18,
cutesy.
18.
I want to see them a little cutesy together and like looking at each other and staring into each other's eyes.
I mean, it's only one episode, give them time.
Yeah.
And all right. So, okay, then we go back on deck, and Mr. Willoughby is doing like Chinese characters painting Chinese characters on the floor of the ship.
I forgot something. How about how Claire's like, Jamie, come over here, and she's like, Jamie, like, maybe you should be, just remember, blah blah blah. Maybe it'll fizzle out, whatever. And I'm sitting here like, Claire, did you not learn your lesson the last time you told Jamie to be nice to a Laoghaire family member? All right, continue. So yeah, he's got the Chinese characters on the boat. The symbols.
So he's writing his autobiography.
Yes.
He's writing the story of his life.
Yep.
But he can't tell about it because when he tells the story, he has to let it go.
Right. I wish that were true in him all the time because I'd tell a lot of stories.
And you don't let them go?
Let it go.
I know, right? It's just a tone thing in this whole episode. It's very like mystical, and I like that even though superstitions are silly, it kind of fits with because Mr. Willoughby, I don't know his Chinese name. I'm sorry. That's reserved for Claire to know. He's got a mysticism of his own too, or a mysteriousness, which is and the two of them, like the seafaring mysticism and the eastern part of the world mysticism are like this. Right. It's very active.
Yes.
So okay. Claire goes to find. Go ahead.
And Claire, well, are you going to mention? It's just a quick little blurb about how she narrates, and she says how much she likes. She's enjoying herself because being on the ship reminds her. I'm saying this, she didn't, of her life with Uncle Lam. Like just kind of one day after the next, kind of like everything's up in the air, and she's really. So I thought it helps as the audience to know that Claire actually is enjoying herself. She's not unhappy. Day by day, her outfit gets a little dirtier, her hair gets a little gray, but she's actually like really enjoying it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, she's starting to get really like, she's also remembering that time when Frank made her watch The African Queen with Katharine Hepburn because she decided that she is going to channel her inner Katharine Hepburn and like totally have that like, blue dress and white shirt and her hair pulled back like this. Like,
although Katharine would have had pants on.
No, not an African Queen.
Oh, really?
No. So Claire looks exactly like that. Okay. Clearly, that's where Terry was going with that. Okay. But anyway, I think the other thing that she's reminded of too is because that scene was when they're all like, they're having the 18th century Artemis version of Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
Do not blaspheme. That was not Show Me the Way to Go Home. That was not Mary Ellen Moffat Stole My Heart. Okay, so don't even go quoting Jaws. I have written down, dig the crew member singing below deck, but it was so contrived, I felt like I was watching Brigadoon on Broadway.
Like, well, it was also
like Les Mis.
It was post fancy, dining in the first class dining room when Jack and Rose like hightail it on down to third steerage and do the Irish dancing. And that's not the only Jack and Rose mention that's going to be in this video. But
let me be. I hate this saying, but I'm going to say it because they all say it. Let me be clear. I thought that it was neat to watch. That is so true. That is like one of Tom's family parties from 20 years ago. You've been to them. They bring out the Irish music and the fiddles, and the next thing you know, this is swilling, and everybody's singing, and fine girl you are. Believe me, I was with it. I was feeling it, but I didn't like. It just came off very, very contrived and theater-esque. And that kind of bugged me.
I don't know that I'm, nah. I don't know
because they were all like.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, when you were talking about her being reminded of her life with Uncle Lam, I also thought that it was reminding her a little bit maybe of Castle Leoch. And like every night at, Column's like, big dining room when they would have stories and music and all that kind of stuff.
When Colin and Dougal would whip out their ale and start singing.
Yeah. Or the Rhenish, I liked that part. I thought it was fun.
The situation I loved. Something about the way it was done felt very, I was like, oh my God, they're going to break into song. Like, when you're watching like at Christmas time when they always do a musical on TV and it's going and it's going. And then all of a sudden, bam, they break into song. I was like, oh no. It felt more theater to me than it did a bunch of guys getting drunk and singing. Anyway, but I did love the concept of a bunch of guys below deck, That's what they're going to do.
Like, show me the way to go home.
They're passing the time. Don't blaspheme.
She broke my heart.
Do not blaspheme. Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. That's the greatest scene on the planet.
Okay. So Claire's like, Jamie has to see this because it's great. And she goes to find him, and there he is with Mr. Willoughby. Bing, 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 bing.
Oh my God, so funny.
And it just now hit me that the time frame is wrong on this. Because am I like totally making this up? Like that Claire's down in the hold and it's probably nighttime and they're all like singing and dancing, whatever. And she goes to find Jamie and Jamie's having the acupuncture and then the ship stops and they all go up on deck and it's like the middle of the afternoon. Am I making that up? Yes, no, maybe. Are you frozen?
Yeah, they're just showing when they were in the I have that next because I dig the crew members singing below deck, blah, blah, blah. Then I have Claire walks in and sees the wee stabbers and Jamie. I think she was not going to show Jamie get down here and come enjoy this. It was the next day. Like they just cut from one scene to another.
Okay. I thought she was looking for him to show him that. All right, you're right.
I also thought that they took care of Mr. Willoughby took care of Jamie's seasickness like right after they got on the boat. Like aren't we like 3 weeks?
He did. He said it's been a couple weeks. He said it's been like that. He's been doing this for a couple weeks now.
Okay.
This is the longest friggin' voyage ever in the history of sea voyages, by the way. They probably have been out there for like 3 months. Okay. So Claire comes upon Jamie getting the acupuncture and he's all, embarrassed and whatever. And she's like, yeah, it's acupuncture. Like, duh. Like, Claire was like, shit, I should have thought of that.
Yes,
damn it.
But in the 20th century, we use needles and not toothpicks. Like in the book, it was needles. I'm like,
he's needles.
He's like shoving. This is like bamboo shoots being shoved into his face. I think I wrote it down. Like, forget about being shot and worrying about the infection setting in. Just have Mr. Willoughby jam some toothpicks into your face. Like they were thick, and you could see them. You like with acupuncture, it's like straight in. You could see them up. Oh, I was so grossed out. But
then were you grossed out enough to like still kiss him? That's why I was like, ugh.
Oh yeah.
Well, first of all, Jamie's still like being all insecure. He's still being all like, well, now I know you're not going to want to stay with me because I have these pins in my face. Like, so you're totally going back. You're going to swim back with stones at this point. I know it. So Claire's like finally says like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I came back for you. Blah, 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 blah,
no, she says look, no matter what it is, it's never been about my feelings for you that would make me go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then she like, kisses him with all those pins in his face.
Yeah, absolutely would have. Because I was thinking that too. I was like, is she gonna? And then she did, and I was like, yeah, I would too. And B, I think that I just forgot. Oh, I liked that it was comedic because I don't remember it being so comedic in the books. I actually, see you guys, sometimes I like things better. I really loved that it was such a comedic little scene with the two of them and Mr. Willoughby and the wee stabbers. I thought the wee stabbers were always kind of like funny. Like, oh geez, Jamie and the wee stabbers. But I seriously thought it was cute the way they did almost a slapstick little thing going on with the wee stabbers.
Did he call it the wee stabbers in the show? I don't remember.
We didn't start. No, he must have. He must have called them the wee stabbers. We wouldn't have gone.
In the book, he calls them the wee stabbers.
Yeah, in the book, he calls them. Yeah. That's why we're calling them that. But I seriously, I thought it was cute the way it was funny.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, the wind has stopped. Jamie's like, wait, what's up with this? Like, we're not moving. And this is where I noticed that Claire was channeling her inner Katharine Hepburn and nobody's business.
Yes.
So they're a little okay, no biggie. We'll get back on course. It's all good. Although one of the sea guys is like, I've never seen anything like this before. It's really weird. Anyway, so then it's nighttime on the deck and we get this scene with Jamie and Claire.
It was so good.
Arguably the best scene so far in season 3.
Oh my God, it was so good.
I
had to turn it off though, the second watch.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna say you could have one scene from season 3 thus far to like have in an endless loop for the rest of your life.
Oh, it's got to be the reunion.
Is it the print shop?
Yeah.
Or is it that scene right there?
Yeah, it would be his version of the print shop.
But I didn't like his version of the print shop because it was all like, yeah, whatever, Brie. Like,
right, but her version of the print shop didn't really involve. It just involved seeing him there, him passing out, and then his version was the two of them on the floor, realizing.
Yeah. All right. That part is good. I just thought this scene was so great. It was. I mean, I know this is blasphemy, but it was so Jack and Rose. It was, Clara tells Jamie about men walking on the moon, and then she starts reciting from Goodnight Moon, and I was just like,
no, keep going. I can't. I had to turn it off. The first time I watched it, sobbing. I have kids.
Because
Goodnight Moon was like a staple in our lives. So listening, and I'll tell you guys something else, and I'm not even embarrassed. I always would pride myself on the fact that I didn't just read books to my kids. I read books to my kids. I did different voices, and my Goodnight Moon, if I do say so myself, I enjoyed my reading of my Goodnight Moon. So listening to my favorite characters on the planet and her doing, oh my God, I was a mess. This second time that I watched so that we could do this, I had to fast forward it.
It was so great. And Jamie, I didn't even mind, I still want a scene where he really is present and actively asking about Brie and what she was like and, whatever. And it hasn't gotten there yet, but at least he let her talk about Brie and that she missed, he recognizes that she misses her and that,
yes.
It was so great. It's cliche, but just the way that they were posed where she's leaning against him and he's like this, whatever. It was just so great all around.
You jump, I
so
jump.
Great.
Yes, it was. And I'll say something else. It's very bittersweet because it's very when you have teenagers, you miss your toddlers, you miss those little children that you were reading Goodnight Moon to. Mm-hmm. So her missing Brie also touched on that for me. Then I've always wanted more of her telling Jamie about the past. I'm sorry, about the future. So about the future. So when she was like, right before I left Boston, men flew to the moon. And I love how Jamie's so used to Claire and her ramblings about the future that he's like, oh, really? He didn't even say flew to the moon. You know what I mean?
But I like that because, that's, and they do talk about this in the book too, that to Jamie, all of, Claire could say men have gone to the moon, and she could say, there's a machine that mows your lawn.
Yes.
They are equally
wow,
bizarro world and impossible to Jamie.
Yes.
Equal. So with every new thing Claire says, Jamie's like, wow, really?
But
wow,
but he
really?
wasn't. He was like, really? Okay. Sometimes I wonder if he's like, oh God, she's at it again. This woman's crazy. I'll just let her think men flew to the moon.
So great scene. So we're now weeks later. We're still no movement. That's so weird that really you could go weeks like that without any wind at all. Yeah, and it didn't help that they didn't have the sails down. Maybe you just want to keep the sails down all the time.
Right.
And then a little wind push it around a little bit.
Something, guys, hold your underwear up or something. But what about the rats in the water? What?
So I actually researched this because they talked that it was the bilge water. And I was like, how did you get water in the hold wherever? It's where water will seep in to the hold or whatever. And normally, I don't know if it's because you're moving, whatever, that it doesn't gather as much. But that's what was happening.
Or were there pumps? I'll have to ask Tom. Were there pumps not fueled, but did they work because like water, like a...
That could be. But for whatever reason, the water from the outside was getting into the inside.
Okay, right.
But that's the thing, that the bilge water is a thing that happens, and there's ways to like pump it out.
And Dopey McDope Pants is going to go take a sip. And I'm like, did you live your life on these boats? Like, really? You don't know that you can see the rats just as well as Jamie can. What are you doing, you idiot? Well,
it wasn't like he was taking the water that the rats were floating in. He was taking water from the barrels, but like, I guess the barrel water and that water like were mixed in together. I don't know what it was, but yeah, no, whatever. So clearly this is all because somebody didn't touch the horseshoe. And the men are getting restless and they want to know, like, maybe we ought to be looking for whoever didn't touch the horseshoe. And meanwhile, Jonah's like, you shut. Oh, I might not touch the horseshoe. And the other guy's like, oh, I'm sorry, you did. And he's like, I don't know. So then, next thing you know, all the men are on deck. And Jamie and Claire are like, what's going on? And they're like, yeah, the guy, he's up there. And Jonah's all drunk and he's up on the mast and he's like, I'm not gonna let you, string me up. If anyone's killing me, it's gonna be me. So Jamie's like, oh, no, whatever. And he climbs up and he like, again, if Jamie went to the future and lived in the 20th century, he would be guy who talks people down from standing on ledges, or like hostage negotiator. Because he's just really, really calm and like it's all going to be okay. Everything's going to be great. Just give me your hand. It's all going to be good. And they kind of finally, he like does. And then of course he falls off the thing and Jamie's like trying to swing him back and forth so that he gets the rope and whatever. I mean, you knew it was going to be fine.
That's why I'm not really saying much, because you've seen it a million times.
Yeah, you've seen it a million times. You know how it goes.
Yes.
They're not really going to let him like fall. So, but then he gets back down to the ground and they're all like, string him out. They're like, I was just cracking up when they were like, Jonah. Like, spaz. So then all of a sudden, who pipes up for Mr. Willoughby?
Oh, Mr. Wills. Here he goes.
And he tells his story, and it's fascinating. The whole story. I mean, this is one of these things that, like, on paper, it doesn't sound like it's going to work. On paper, it just sounds like it's going to sound really bizarre and weird, but it was rather riveting.
It was. I loved when he was, like, getting so angry about the women here, and they won't even look at him, let alone. It was painful in a good way.
And then I have about like 18 minutes, so that's why
we're pretty much finished almost.
Okay.
And he threw the papers off the side.
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of funny because like the men are interested. You can tell they're really riveted too. But when they do, you see Mr. Willoughby, but then you see like the over the shoulder shot of him, and like all the men up on like the second level or the higher level, and like their coats are all blowing around.
I hadn't thought about that.
All blowing around, and it's like, okay, I guess you need real winds, not just a breeze. Yeah. So like
you need CGI wind.
Yeah. So
because those papers perfectly went off into the wind.
I know. Well, he climbs up the side of the ship. He's like, "Oh, I don't think it's worth it anymore." Whatever. And climbs up the side, and you think he's going to jump. But then he tosses the papers, and they sort of float away, and then the wind comes back. So they've got winds again. They've got set sail. Of course, he knew what was happening because he used like nature and stuff to figure it out, which is very cool. And Jamie's all into that because Claire would just use the thermometer, but Jamie would like know all that stuff about like, all that Farmer's Almanac stuff.
Right. Like, I have one.
Of those. Squirrels are really fat. Like it's going to be a hard winter or like that kind of stuff. But Mr. Willoughby's just so cool. It's really, really like that was really great, that part.
They did a great
I really
job
enjoyed
of that. Yes.
So then the rain starts. And everyone's all happy. It's raining and they're gathering in the rain, and Jamie and Claire like think it's funny, and then they realize that they're kind of alone
And
in the
frolicking down the ships. Yeah.
And I mean, Claire has not had the sweet Jamie loving. So in the storage room they go. Boom, 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 boom. Done.
With lots of grunting. Have you noticed a pattern in the grunting?
Yeah.
It's always like an initial and then it's
okay, so I have to say, post game on that, like the King of Men line was hilarious. So funny.
I just love that she's got that gray hair, and he's like, "I like your gray."
I stopped watching the second time.
I'm like sitting here, like, "Oh, could you look at mine? Because I have something."
I haven't colored my hair. Once this play is done, I'm totally going to. This is where I stopped taking notes. The ships are coming, then you can take it from there.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the Man of War. Oh, right. Because we're at the end. I have 3 more paragraphs. All of a sudden, they see this Man of War coming at them. Captain Thomas Lanyard or something.
Captain Babyface.
Oh my God, was he 13?
And his first mate, Captain Todd, or Skipper Toddler.
Yeah. I was like, I can get Ian a job on this show? So he boards the ship, says he needs a surgeon, and everybody goes at Claire. Claire's like, Jamie's like, oh, not again. Claire offers to go on the ship. She tells Jamie, listen, it's fine. I've been vaccinated. I can't get what they have. Although at this point, I'm like,
she thinks she knows what it is.
I'm like, dude, they have like a plague. Are you sure? I don't remember the bubonic plague vaccination, but whatever. And I love how Claire always knows exactly. Are they throwing up? Like, are they?
Do they have a rash?
Yeah. Do they have a rash?
They have a twitch in their left eye?
Is it encircling their navel? with little red, or is it shaping lightning bolts? So she agrees that she's going to board their ship and take a look and see what's happening, and he's ever so grateful. So she goes and she boards their ship, and she's walking through the ship looking because it looks like everything's going fine above deck. Well, down below deck, it's the most putrid, disgusting situation of your life. And she goes down and everyone's puking, and we get lovely sound effects of everyone puking. And at this point,
you know what it is?
Yeah. At this point, I'm like begging to go back to Jamie and the Wee Stabbers, because I'm like, I'll watch him puke any day of the week before I have to sit here and listen to everybody puking. So she goes down, and I had to crack up, you guys, because she goes below deck and she's like walking around and walking around and walking around. Okay, there's one dude puking over there. Okay, there's 14 dudes puking over here. And finally I go, Claire, you've seen enough. Go back upstairs.
I see, I didn't take it as puking. That wasn't a puking sound to me.
Oh, there was probably a little both happening, yes.
But you know what it really was? You know what it really was?
What?
A stench so foul. And Dufresne.
Andy crawled to freedom through 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness I can't even imagine.
Crawl through.
Claire Beecham Randall Fraser crawled through a stench so foul. She walked through miles of ship.
Not shit, ship.
She walked through miles of ship that I couldn't believe she would walk through.
Because at this point, I'm yelling at the screen. You've seen enough. You've looked at his stomach. Go. You don't need to stay down here walking. Well, maybe his diarrhea is a different color than his. Go away now. So she,
Andy Dufresne.
I hadn't even thought about that. So I'm like, I'm sorry about the sound of this. How is she not like this? She's like this.
Well, she took off her little neckerchief.
She was like this. I'm like, honey, I would have been holding my skirt up.
I guess she's not she lived with Uncle Lamb and saw all sorts of crazy stuff there. No. She was in the war, so she probably saw I guess stinky, missing limbs and that kind of stink is not as much as puke and poo stink.
That's a couple of guys. That's this guy. That's that guy. There's 90 guys in a space that you would normally put 20. And they're all puking and shitting.
Yeah.
There's no way. I was like, oh my God. So she basically goes back up. I have how much puking does she need to see before she realizes what's happening here? And then I have, I've seen 2 or 3. That's all I need to know. Bye-bye. In my Eddie Murphy voice from kids playing outside. Look at the chandelier. Get out. Too bad we can't stay. So she goes up and she tells the captain, I love this because I'm that person that watches the hoarding show and starts cleaning while I'm watching it. And I feel rejuvenated at the end when they show the clean house. So she's telling the captain, look, you got to get all those people upstairs. You got to get down there and clean. Well, I don't remember hearing her tell him that they had to clean. I know from the book, she was like, you need to sanitize all of this shit. Get down there and get it done. So, and then this captain must have been like, why are we bothering? Because she's like, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And you're going to lose mostly everyone.
Mostly everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're not helping.
Why are we not just throwing them all overboard? So, yeah.
It'll be a lot easier to clean up the ship if none of them are here.
Yeah. So then next thing you know, she says, look, I'll stay here. I'll tell you how to organize yourselves. And then I'm going to go back to my ship. Well, he hears that and is like, ain't no way she's going anywhere leaving me with all this stank. So he, next thing you know, and the ship takes off. And she's like, I insist you go back immediately, or whatever her comment was. And he's like, sorry, miss, I promise you, I left them word where we're going. We're all going to Jamaica. You're going to get back okay, but you're not going anywhere because this is His Majesty's ship and you need to do your part. And you can see the Artemis chasing after them, and I hope we start next week. Oh my God. I just looked at myself and said, do I have have I had mascara all over my face this entire thing?
It sounds too little.
So I'm hoping that maybe next week starts just like the reunion was her point of view. And then we went to his point of view of the same situation. I sure would love it if they started next week with Jamie's point of view. I don't like this. She's taking too long. I don't like this. What's going on? And then.
It's interesting you say that because, and I mean, this isn't a spoiler. I'm not spoiling anything, but you do know that the books are written there, or not all the books, but this book is written from Claire's point of view. So obviously we're only seeing what happens to Claire and we never see Jamie again in the book until she sees him. And I'm not going to tell you when that is, but I was thinking the same thing. Will they do that? Are we at the point now where we're not going to see Jamie? My guess is this. My guess is that we may not see Jamie, but I think that everything that I think we'll see Jamie by at some point in the next episode. I don't think we're gonna go 3 episodes without seeing Jamie.
So anyway, you guys, so that's pretty much where we're ending up, right? So she's on the ship and she's realizing we are heading out and the Artemis is following us. So there you go. We don't know what's going to happen from here on out.
What do you think that who didn't touch the horseshoe on the other ship? Because clearly nobody's touching the horseshoe on the other ship because they're in the shit ton of luck. Bad luck.
And doesn't she worry about being a carrier, or that maybe somehow she could somehow pass it on to Jamie, even though she's not going to get it, but you know.
But it's not something you carry. I don't think you
Okay,
could.
let me ask you guys a question. Little Miss, I have to go save my rapist because I took an oath. So now, though, she's going to tell this ship, I have to go. I'll tell you how to organize yourselves.
Good.
But
good
then I
plan.
need to leave.
Good call.
Then I need to leave. Oh, really? You're going to let all these people die when you could save some of them? So
Good call.
What do you mean you're going to? I guess she sees it as a collective. Okay, as long as I tell them what to do, that's the best I can do. I don't know. And then that sort of makes the whole situation about saving the rapist sort of makes you realize that maybe some of that was also her kind of hysteria after almost being raped. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing is just
No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, the parallel is interesting.
Maybe she kind of knew that all the guys on the ship were going to die anyway, so it's not quite as big a deal. Like there was still a chance that the rapist could be saved. Like because it was the subdural hematoma, and she like if she drilled a hole in his brain, she could relieve the pressure.
Yes, but you all poor suckers. Forget it.
Ain't no pressure I can take out of you.
And I'm cracking up that she's like, they all have to go up above deck, and I'm like, where are they gonna put them? And how would you like to be somebody who's okay? Being like, I want them up here, keep them down there.
And how'd you like to be the guy that has to bring them up?
I know, I thought of that. I was like, a stench so foul. You're gonna have to go down there.
Oh no, he's doing it. Oh shoot, I just dropped them back downstairs.
I think I'd be jumping off the side and taking my chances on Orca.
Maybe they can always swim to the Artemis.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We're not taking any of your men. We just want to hang out on your ship because our Captain Babyface is making us move like shit and puke smelling dudes that like keep pooping everywhere.
It smells pretty stank over there.
All right. It's time for us to wrap this up. This is like the shortest one of the season, you guys. Like I said, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. It's more you just have to experience this episode. You really do. You have to live the episode.
Yeah.
You have to breathe with the episode. But I really liked it. I love being at sea. I really did. I think it's one of the better ones of the season.
I absolutely did too.
So tell us what you think in the comments. Tell us, go on the blog, outlanderpurgatory.com, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc., etc. Yes. All right, you guys, have a great week, and we will see you next week.